and we can even see you. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Hi.
brilliant. Hello. You're in LA? Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles.
That's great. I've just saw it. I've just been told that you just had a birthday.
I
So
did.
so first of all, Mazal Tov.
Thank you so much.
I love the film. I really love the film, and I'm really connected to it. When did you? I'll start from the end. When did you finish it? What? How long ago?
In January
January 24.
this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
still, so you're still, so you're still in it?
Very much so. Yeah. I started this in 2014 and wrapped it and turned it in January 2024. So 10 years.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. How did it feel to finally let it go?
It was so many different emotions because it's become my identity in so many ways. I live and breathe this project, but it also changed the way I think in a lot of ways because before this project started, I didn't think about my dad. He would come up in conversation every once in a while, but that was the extent of it. I never thought about him or what it would have been like to have him in my life or who he really was. And so cut to 10 years later, I think about him all day, every day. He's ever present in my life. And so when the film was finished, I was like, there's this huge chapter of my life that's now over, and I'm going to move on. And what am I going to do next? But because it's become my identity, I don't feel like it's over. I think it's just kind of the next chapter, and RESYNATOR is now a part of me and my dad is now a part of me. And so ending the film was I had a little bit of closure and a
Wow.
little bit of mourning, but
Hmm.
for the most part it's just continued. Like I don't feel like I finished anything. I feel like I'm starting over almost.
Um, I think that what I was trying to figure out what I connected so strongly in the film. And I think that there's the bit right in the beginning that someone says that your dad's guitar was like another arm or another part of his body, and I think that's something that every musician can relate to. That his instrument or her instrument is a part of who he is, like a really physical part. And I think that what you did with this in this film was the same. You had the same transformation of something that is um, something that is material or not human become human. So once the resonator at some point becomes like your father, your dad. But what I'm interested in is when did you realize, when in doing the film, in the process of doing the film, when did you realize that this thing becomes your dad? Was it right from the start, or was it at the end, post production? When was that moment, if there was one?
There definitely was one. Thank you for saying that. That's so nice to hear. Sorry if you can hear those sirens in the background. I live on a
No,
busy street.
no,
Um,
we're used to Simons here. Yeah.
that's right. Well, I think the moment for me was no, I did not start out thinking I'm going to learn about my dad through this instrument. This instrument represents my father. That wasn't the case. When I realized that, it was in Colombia when I was on the rock at the beach with Christian, and he looked up at the sun and he said, "There's your dad." And I said this in the film. I really meant it. A week before I was in Colombia, as plays in the film, I was standing over my dad's grave in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I was looking at his grave saying, I just don't feel anything here.
Yeah.
His physical body's here, but what is that? I don't feel like I know him any better. And that was my first time visiting his grave. And I thought it would mean something. I thought I would feel something, and I didn't. And then I was in this foreign country. It was 2 weeks later. I was in this foreign country, a place I'd never been, a place my dad had never been. There was no history there to connect me or my dad to this place. I was standing next to this stranger who I'd met a few days prior, and yet I felt closer to my dad for the first time than I'd ever felt before. And that's when I realized, like, oh, it's the resonator. It's by me using this thing that he loved and that he invented, and it's an extension of him, as you said, by working with it and appreciating it and understanding it and giving it this place and this space, I was able to connect with my dad. And that was just such a weird feeling, because like it wasn't what I expected at all. But I felt so emotional on that rock with Christian in that moment. And that was the aha moment of, oh, if I want to keep knowing about my dad, I just got to work with his invention. And also, that resonator sat in a box for 25 years untouched. All of the stories that I've heard about my parents or my father are other people's perspectives. They're other people's stories. And so I never had my own perspective because I never knew him myself. So the resonator, in a way, was the only unbiased thing that was directly from him. When he died, it went in a box. I was the next person to take it out. And so I felt like it was my direct connection to him once I realized it.
How early was that moment? I mean, during the shooting, was it because I know when it comes in the film, but I don't know how early it was shot.
Yeah, it was 2016.
So pretty early.
Yeah, because I started filming in 2014, and so that's when everything kind of changed. And I realized also that this was not a story about a synthesizer anymore. It was like, oh, this is my chance to learn about my dad and to learn about myself.
And how did that? I'm interested as a filmmaker. How did it change your approach to the film? I mean, even to the thing itself. I mean, how you carry it, and how important is it for you? How did it change your approach to it?
Well, because I'm not a filmmaker, like I've never made a film before. And I wasn't intending to make this a feature film. Like, it really was supposed to be a short film about the resurrection of a synthesizer. And I was on tour with my musician friends at the time, and I'm not a musician, so I thought I could make this little mini doc. I could resurrect the synth. They could play it. They could make music with it. It would connect me on a musical level to these people who I loved. But I wasn't trying to make a film. I wasn't trying to be a filmmaker. So there were so many times, especially in Colombia, after I made that connection with my father and I realized, oh, maybe this is what I have needed my whole life and I didn't know it. I was kind of like, oh, I have to keep filming because I don't need to. I did the thing. And so I don't need to finish this film because I wasn't trying to make a film. But obviously I realized I think people might be able to relate to this story, and I think it's a story worth sharing. And so I had to keep filming. But, I paid for this film myself. I made this film for so many years myself by just hiring friends. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't have the intention to finish in this way. So it was hard to keep filming after Colombia because I felt like I'd done what I realized I needed to do. And then I was like, and then many years later, it took so long to actually finish it. It was so hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how tough emotionally it was for you. I don't know if at all, screening it for the first times. I mean, because you're exposing yourself pretty much in the film, sitting with the audience. Or how was that?
That was one of the hardest parts that I didn't think about because I always worked for the artist. I've never been the artist, and I've certainly never been on camera. And so all of these times when I would film and stuff, I was just doing it because I felt like I had to, and I was in front of the camera because I wanted, especially like with the Mike Beagle engineering resurrecting parts, I wanted again, when the intention was to make a mini doc about the resurrection of the synth, I was like, I know nothing about synthesizers. I'm going to learn about the synth. And so when people are watching it, they can learn with me. And so you don't have to know anything about synthesizers. I didn't, clearly. And so my intention for being in front of the camera was to kind of be a guiding place for people who don't have that education, and they can learn with me. And so, yeah, it was really hard when we got to the place of like a fine cut. It was like 3 hours long or something. I had this big panic attack being like, oh my God, people are going to see this. Like, I'm in it. And this is about my family. And it's so dark at times and sad at times. And like, I honestly, I hadn't thought about it until I was in too deep, and there was no way to turn it around. And so thankfully, I wasn't too deep, because I'm so glad that I went through with it, and I'm so glad that it's being received well and that people can connect with it. That's why I decided to do it. It's like, I know, even though it's about a synthesizer, like, I know everyone's got family, and every family has a little bit of messy parts to it, and this is hopefully going to be helpful. And so I did it, and showing it for the first time, I premiered it at South by Southwest, and it was a room full of, mostly strangers. I had about 30 of my friends and family and team there, which was awesome. But my mom came, and my stepdad Alan came, my sister came, and Nick came, and her partner Nick, and my partner Matt. And it was amazing. But to have my mom there and to show her, she'd seen like the rough cut or whatever, but the moderator called out how brave she thought my mom was. And that just made me so happy to be able to say in front of a room of like 200 people how much I loved my mom and how much she meant to me and how brave I thought she was. Because this film is about my dad, but it's a tribute to her. I mean, this whole film is possible because of the love and unconditional love and support that she gave me. So it was the best experience being able to show it, live for the first time and have her there.
Well, we're also thankful that you went through with it. I want to see if there's any questions from can you give them a mic? Yeah, we have another mic for the audience, so you're going to hear a different voice than mine.
Hello. Hi. First of all, fascinating film. Second of all, you said at the end of the movie that you are continuing with this project. So what's happening right now with this resonator?
Thank you so much. The resonator original build that you see in the film, I've made 5 units from spare parts that we found. And then there were 3 units that went to Peter Gabriel in the UK for his synth distribution company. And on Christmas Eve, this past December 24th, I woke up to an email from a Kickstarter backer. I did a Kickstarter campaign to help raise some money back in 2019. They emailed me and said, hey, I found a resonator on eBay. It's here's the link. I don't know if it's real, but I thought you should know about it. And I went to the link, and it seems legit, and I purchased it, and it's in my possession now, and we got it up and running. And so now I have one of those 3. So I'm still searching for the other 2. So I'm continuing to try to rebuild original units, but what Peter Gabriel said, I've been trying to do, put it in software. And so we have a plug-in version of it. We're also working
already out, the plugin?
Not officially, no. I'm trying to line it up with the release of this film. And so next year it'll be out, pending any crisis. But then also Indiana University, my dad was a music professor there. I visit the school in the documentary. I worked with the director of the center that's named after my dad, and gave them a resonator unit a few years ago. And one of the grad students from the center has been working on modernizing it. And so there's a semi-modular unit that's almost finished. Hopefully it'll line up with the release of everything else too, but it's just been a long process. It's really hard to do. But yeah, so hopefully there will be software and hardware units available in the near future. But God, it's been so hard to try to get these things up and running. I mean, my film has been my main priority to finish the film. And now that the film is finished, I can start to really focus on these other things, but they're both in the works. Yeah.
Well, I think myself, I wouldn't be able, I won't look at the inside of a synthesizer quite the same ever again. Any other questions? Yes? We'll do one more, okay? Okay, so two more.
Hey, how are you? Good. The experience in Colombia with this guy in the mountain, I see there is some shaman, and I want to ask if it was a psychedelic experience.
The Mamos, he was in white, all white.
Yeah.
And if you look closely at the scene where we're walking to the beach, he's carrying the resonator in
I
my
see.
bag.
I see.
He was so wonderful. They're an indigenous group, an indigenous people in Colombia, and at the time he was living with Christian. And so I met the Mamos, and he gave me his blessing to be in the film, and I was really appreciative of that. And actually, when we went to the beach, we turned the cameras off and had a little ritual, and it was just so wonderful. He doesn't speak, so I didn't, have any conversations with him or anything, but to have him around, especially, was just, I was just absorbed with this culture. I had never been to Colombia before, and to meet those people, they were just so wonderful and colorful and vibrant, and their energy was amazing. And to have him there was this kind of special grounding and reminder that we were maybe tapping into something a little more spiritual. It was amazing.
Nice to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. And now it's Leo. I have another question. Okay, now you
Hello.
can see me. First of all, upstanding movie. I enjoy it very much. And it's look like the resonator that get input sounds and process them and get it output. Your movie take all the memories of the people that know your father and output a living memory for you.
That's so beautifully put. I love that. Thank you.
And I got two little questions. First of all, did you try to reach Paul McCartney to see what happened in this meeting, if it was taking place at all? And the second one, how you know when to finish the movie?
Well, that's a great question. The Paul McCartney one is the easy one. I was able to get my question to him, not directly, but through a contact. He confirmed that he did remember the resonator from the 80s. He did not do a demo with my dad. So I think what happened was it broke the night before, and my dad probably called the meeting saying it's not working, so don't come in. So my follow-up question, which I'm still trying to get to him, is can I do the demo that my dad didn't get the chance to do? Because that would be such an honor, and we'll see if that ever happens. But I'm putting it out into the universe to see what we can do.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, and then the other question, I don't know. I mean, I think that after I read, so the way that the documentary is laid out, scene by scene. It's not like it happened exactly scene by scene in that order exactly, but it kind of did. So the letter that I read that my dad wrote to me, my grandma passed away in October, I think 2018. And it was after that that this letter to me was uncovered in her basement that my Aunt Sandy gave me. And so that I read that letter in 2019 is when I read it. And that was really like, this feels like the right way to end this filming or documenting this journey. That letter was so impactful for me. I didn't know it existed. It was just incredible. And so I thought that that would be the right way to end it. And as far as story goes, that really was the end of it. And then COVID 2020, we didn't film anything. And I just started doing the paper edits and realizing that I did think that there was an organic arc and that was the organic way to end it. And then 2021, we started editing. And then through the editing process, I realized there were some pickup shoots that I needed to do to fill in some gaps. And there were also some musicians that I really wanted to get in the film that I still hadn't. And so, yeah, I think the last shoot that we had was 2023, I think. And that was Money Mark from BC Boys. He was just amazing. He's always been on my wish list of artists because I just thought he would understand the synth and the story in this project. And he did. We had a really fun time. And so he was the last demo that I filmed. And then yeah, so I think it just organically stopped after that very pivotal moment of me reading the letter. And then everything we filmed beyond that was just stuff that we realized in the edit that we'd missed.
Okay. I think we're out of time. I want to thank you so much for the film, first of all, and for your time. We really, really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you keep on making them. You know, I know you're not considering yourself as a filmmaker, but I think you have it. So really, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. It's been such an honor to be able to show this film in Israel. And I really thank you for loving the film and for being so supportive of it. It's been a real thrill for me to be able to do this.
Well, for us as well. Thank you.